Yep, let's talk about the three kind of categories of wealth. This is a really helpful way to think about the world. You have a primary, you have a secondary, and a tertiary. Primary and secondary wealth never goes away. No matter what the crash happens, they're all still there. So primary wealth is what God gives us. Think, cattle on 1,000 hills, fish in the sea, coal in the ground. These are things God put in place. Secondary wealth are what we do with that, the labor that we apply to it to create value. So we take, fish, we turn that into feedstocks. We take cattle, we turn that to beef. We take coal, we turn that into power generation. All of those, the ranches, the fisheries, the power generation plants, they're all still there the next morning after this crash hits. They don't go away. Your income producing real estate, your rental houses, all still there. Your private business is still there. It's the tertiary level assets that get wiped away. And what those are all the paper additives on a complex society. So it's the derivatives contracts, it's the futures contracts, it's the stock certificates, the pensions, the 401ks, all of that stuff gets wiped away because they're all tied to the value of the dollar that will be wiped away and reset. Your assets, so the point for your listeners is that the farther you can get away from tertiary assets and the closer you can get to primary and secondary types of wealth, the better you are to hunker down in this storm. So what will happen is at some point there'll be a crisis, probably start in China. Generally, these things are triggered in the emerging market. So the last great one, 1929, was the U.S. emerging out and starting to overtake the Great Britain, right? The one before that was Great Britain's famous South Sea bubble. They were coming out from under Holland. Before that, it was the Holland tulip bulb, right? So these things generally happen in the emerging market. So it'll start in Asia. It'll roil across Europe. We'll all still be asleep. We'll wake up one morning and there'll be a massive crisis. And literally banks will close. You'll see your fellow countrymen at ATM machines trying to get their, $100 a day or whatever it is the government permits them to have. That's what it'll look like, the way it'll end. Because no government will trust any other government on earth at that point to be honest about what's the value of this paper they've flooded the world with, their particular currency, right? Nobody's going to take anybody's word for anything. So what'll happen? Every government on earth will have to divide the gold they say they have, and they'll have to announce it, divide that by the currency that they've printed into the world. That becomes the new value of their currency priced in gold. Now you've got a common reference point. So in the U.S., for example, my partner Jim Rickards thinks that number is around $10,000 an ounce. That's based on a 40% coverage with gold, which is what we did after World War I. I'm not sure. Let's take it at 10,000 though. I actually think it'll be closer to 50,000.